Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about the optic you guys suggested. This is the Holosun SCS PDP green dot. While I got this in my hand, yes, this is clear. Everything is safe for filming. Get that out of the way. And I want to start off by saying thank you guys. For the longest time, especially before creating this channel, I used to be one of those people who like psycho researched a lot of things before I made a purchase. And I will say, with this green dot here, I bought this blindly based off your recommendations, and I really like it a lot. So thank you guys for telling me about this. I've been shooting this for the past couple months, have over 1,000 rounds on it at this point, and I gotta say, I think this optic fits this gun very well. For those of you who are unfamiliar, this is my Walther PDP F-Series Pro X, and I think for this being a carry, this optic fits perfectly. So there's a lot of things I want to talk about today because I'll be honest, when I first got this thing, I threw it on right away, and this optic's different than most other optics I'm used to, and there's some things I wish I knew beforehand that would have kind of saved me some time and hassle. But today we'll kind of go over everything it has, all its features, things I like and dislike, and ultimately whether or not I would end up recommending this to you guys. So let's start off by the footprint, because that's what makes this optic the most unique. This is actually direct mount to a PDP, which I give Holosun huge props for that. I absolutely love the fact that I don't need to use a plate for this. If you guys have seen my other videos, to me, if I can avoid a plate, I'm going to. Not only is it an additional point of potential failure, but most often when you use a plate, it raises where the optic sits, not allowing you to co-witness your iron sights. So having something sit nice and low like this so I can use the standard iron sights is definitely a blessing, especially for something I'm gonna carry. That is just something that I've always done from day one, and it's kind of one of my staples. So that part alone, I think, is really what sold me. Once you guys told me that there was an option to get a direct mount optic, I really like that. And I will say, styling wise, I give Holosun huge props also for adding like these little details. So it almost looks like an extension of the slide. It really looks intentional, like it was made for this pistol. And I appreciate aesthetics. So them taking the extra step and doing something like that where they didn't have to do it, just to make it look that much better, I think it's a really, really good idea. I like it a lot. And honestly, if you guys know of any other companies that make optics that direct mount so that we can avoid plates, let me know in the comments below, because I definitely want to get into more of those optics. This is made of 7075 T6 aluminum, and I will say, when I took it right out of the box, it felt rugged. It didn't feel cheap or super dinky. It felt solid, and I like that a lot. Especially for this being something that's more on what I would consider the budget side of things. I didn't really know what to expect when I opened the box. The overall size, I think, is really great for a CCW. It comes in with a total height of less than an inch. It's just 2 inches long and just over an inch wide, and perfectly fits this slide. It only weighs 1.35 ounces, so it's nothing heavy. Again, it's really a great option for a CCW. Sits low, lightweight, fits well, doesn't overhang. It's doing a lot of things right for me so far. I will say the downside, and not that it's a real negative, but a downside to it being so low and so small, is you do get a smaller window size. That I think it's plenty usable, but I should warn you guys, it's definitely not the largest window I've ever used. And that window size is only 0.5 inches tall and 0.77 inches wide. I've not had any issues with it being that size, but I can see some of you seeing that and be like, it's too small of an optic, I want something bigger. For me, I think it works perfectly well. I've had no issues with the size of it. The glass isn't bad at all, but there is like a slight bluish, purplish hue to it. It's not quite like the SIG tint, but definitely kind of like a purplish. Doesn't bother me, but I know some of you guys out there, you prefer clear glass. So keep that in mind. There is a slight hue to it. One cool feature about this is that it is multi-reticle. You have an option of a 2 MOA dot, a 2 MOA dot with a 32 MOA ring, just the ring, or obviously nothing. I liked that initially, and as I shot it, I realized having the combo of the ring and the dot for me just felt a little busy, especially the further I got shooting. Up close, it wasn't really too bad, but the size of the dot in proportion to the actual window, especially when I'm really trying to shoot further, it just seemed a little too much. So I ended up mostly shooting this with just the 2 MOA dot, which I thought worked plenty fine. The dot was crisp, plenty bright in all settings, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. But I think it's cool that for this price point, you have multi-reticle option. That's typically something you pay a lot more for. So I will give it props for that. Speaking of multi-reticle, I will let you guys know there's literally only one button on this entire thing right here. That is basically your on-off button, and that's also how you switch your reticle. It kind of helps this thing have a very clean, minimalist design, which I like a lot. It doesn't seem cluttered. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of things you can incidentally hit. And you guys might find that as a pro or con as we get into these other options soon, that being brightness. I was very surprised to learn that at this price point, it is auto-adjusting brightness, meaning it takes your surrounding light and it decides for you what the appropriate brightness is. If you're in a dark room, it's going to dim it down. If you're outside in a sunny day, it's going to brighten it up. And I will say, shooting indoors and outdoors, I had no issue with this auto-adjusting. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it. I've always had optics where I could adjust that brightness myself. But I will say, it did it very well. So I actually like that feature. I know some of you might want to be able to have that customization. I believe there's an override function where you can get it to the max brightness if you really need it. But shooting outside in Florida in the summer, it was plenty bright for me. So I like it. I think that's definitely a pro. Another thing that is very different about this is there's an internal solar rechargeable battery, meaning you don't have to worry about changing the battery. Now, that could also be a pro or a con, depending on your personal preference. Me, I kind of wish I looked that up before I threw it on the gun, because afterwards I realized, okay, now I got to leave this thing sitting out somewhere so I can charge it. So my advice to you guys, before you throw this on, sit it somewhere for a week or so. I think it needs 50 to 60 hours to be fully charged. But just sit it out there, let it charge in the sunlight, and then you should, in theory, be good to go because it's constantly charging. Now, the battery life does say it offers 20,000 hours, and obviously that's with it recharging itself. Like I assume right now it's getting this light and recharging it. So I personally like the thought of having a rechargeable battery. I don't have to worry about swapping this. I'll let you guys know in the future if I have any issues with it getting enough charge. But again, in theory, once it's fully charged, it should be good to go unless you literally leave it in your safe for years on end. Another thing I really think this did well is actually the adjustment turrets. They are super flush. There's no way you could accidentally bump that. It comes with a small key. And surprisingly, at this price point, the adjustments are very tactile and very audible. That's one of the things that I've really noticed about a lot of optics, especially less expensive optics, is I feel like they cheap out on that, but this really does it very well. I'm very happy with how the click and sound is on this because I know I'm making the adjustments. I know I'm getting the precise adjustment I want versus some optics I've had in the past where it was kind of like guessing because there was no sound or no feel. I really like that feature. As far as my overall thoughts, guys, honestly, this thing surprised me. I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't look it up beforehand. You guys recommended it. I got it, I threw it on, and I started shooting it. And honestly, it's a really good choice. And in my opinion, if you're gonna get a PDP and you don't wanna use plates, this is probably your best option. But you guys tell me, is there a better option for a PDP? I'm a sucker for the direct mount, for the fact that you still coat witness, the fact that it's nice and rugged, you don't have to worry about battery, it's plenty bright. It does really everything I need it to do. And it has this nice little solar panel back here to recharge it for you. So in theory, it should be a buy once, cry once kind of situation until that internal battery decides to crap the bed, and then I guess you're out of total optic. So I don't really know how long that is. Hopefully it's a very long time. So you guys let me know. Is there anything else you want to know about this? Any questions, comments you got? Drop it down below. But I think this is really a good match. I think it works well with this, and I'm really happy. If there's other optics you want me to review here on the channel, just let me know. I do appreciate your guys' suggestion. That's everything I got for you today, guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Peace.